What's up, y'all? You checking out the Frequent Flyer, and you can have your digital idle speed wherever you want it to be. So I'm out here with the Fighter 130 and the Leader 120, both from full speed. And if you guys have been following these models here, you probably know that these models, we've been having problems with death rolls or browning out. And the problem, it was a problem with the digital idle speed, or so we thought it was. So I'm happy to say that I finally figured out what's been bugging these things. Nobody can actually put their finger on it, but the digital idle speed seemed to help. I found that D-Shot was kind of masking the problem. I put multi-shot on this one here, and I found that the motors wouldn't even spin up until you put the minimum idle speed, until you put the idle speed to maybe 1130 something, and then the motors would spin up when you arm for air mode. And so D-Shot was just masking the problem. But I found out that it did have something to do with the ESCs, but most of all, what fixes the problem actually isn't the digital idle speed or the idle speed of the motors. So the problem was when you go to minimum cell voltage. So minimum cell voltage, what I think that does is it sets, it tells the quad what's the lowest level of voltage that you can receive through here before it just cuts off. And so it was set pretty high at 3.3 volts. So I'm guessing at 3.3 volts, whenever the battery will go beyond 3.3 volts, break that threshold, then it would do the death roll. It would brown out, essentially just turning everything off or resetting everything. And so trying to ghost bust this thing, finding the problem for this one, I finally figured that out. And I said, hey, maybe that's what was maybe that's what was wrong the whole time. So I went back to the Leader 120 and I set my minimum cell voltage down to 2.9, and I usually do that to everything. And turns out that you can fly this thing with the digital idle speed on whatever you want it to be, as long as you put the minimum cell voltage down to 2.9. So I don't know if higher works, maybe 3.0 would work, maybe 3.1, because it was set at 3.3. But 2.9 is what I put it to from the start, and I haven't been having any problems ever since. I've been flying this thing, but I have been flying it with really good batteries though. So today what I'm out here to do is to test the stock batteries. I do have a connection change on them. There's nothing I can do about that, because in my research while trying to find out what was wrong with it, I immediately changed everything to XT30. So, and I've been doing that conversion to all of my quads and all of my batteries, just changing everything to XT30, because I think that's the best connection here for the best voltage feed and all. And so nothing I can do about that. They're already at XT30, but I'm guessing that with a JST connection on here, it'll probably yield close to the same results. But we're gonna test it with the stock batteries. So this Leader 120 came with a 50C 500 milliamp hour 2S battery, and this Fighter 130 came with a 500 milliamp hour 30C battery. But guess what? They look exactly the same, just about. So I don't know what's the difference, but I'm not gonna mix them up. I'm gonna fly this Leader 120 with the stock 50C battery and see if it does a death roll with the current settings that I have. And by the way, I have both digital idle speeds back to 4.5 with D-Shot running. So I didn't do anything with the digital idle speed on this one, and it was already set at 4.5, and it was flying great all the way to the end of the battery. And that's what made me suspect that maybe it was the cell cutoff, the LVC had something to do with it, and I changed the minimum cell voltage. So we're gonna just test them. This one is at 4.5. I put it back to 4.5 digital idle speed, and we're about to take off with it with the stock batteries. Now I already know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it'll work with, I did that to this one, and I've been flying this with, I flew it with a Beta FPV 450 milliamp hour battery and almost got 5 minutes of flight with doing flips and all, punch outs. And so that's how I know it, that it definitely should work. I dropped the battery down here. It definitely should work, but I'm just about to test it with the stock batteries, which might not be as good as those Beta FPV batteries or the other batteries that I've been running. So that's the purpose of the test today, to check out the flight with the stock batteries for you guys that bought this and don't have many batteries and want to know if it'll work good with the stock battery. Mainly I'm out here to fly this guy here. This is the new guy. I swapped the props on it. I think these props work a little better. I like the way that it flies better with those. Enough talk, let's get this thing up in the air. So first we're going to test the leader. Here we go, let's go. So we're up with it. Got all types of traffic and stuff out here in my flying spot. I gotta get to a field or something, man. Maybe I might move. But here's a punch out. Stock battery and all. Another punch out. Sheesh, I had to pull up hard right there. I'm flying around obstacles, I'm stepping over obstacles. So just doing all types of flips and stuff. Punch out, flip. Heard a little bit of the buzzer. Power loop there. Let's go for another one. Another one. Do some more. Let's do some quick flips. So I think it might be solved, guys. This is a stock battery here. And the digital idle speed is at 4.5. So no fooling around with the digital idle speed. The digital idle speed can be on whatever you want it to be. And this thing is flying great with a stock battery. This is the same experience I had with the Fighter 130. That flight time that I mentioned was with the Fighter 130. When I was flying it with a FPV, I was flying it with a Beta FPV 450 milliamp hour 2S battery, 80C to 160C burst, and I got almost 5 minutes with it. And that thing has 1106 motors, 75,000 kV. So it's more of a power hungry machine than this. I'm at 3 minutes already. You hear my alarm going off. We hear the buzzer a little bit on this. I'm doing flips and all, and look, this thing is still in the air. Oh, let me not get too far away from my my fighter 130 down there. But check it out. I'm all the way past 3 minutes. Let me see how far we've gone. We're at 3 minutes and 30 something seconds. Guess it's at 40 something by now. Let's try another punch out. Flip. Do another flip. Another flip. Now it browned out there. I don't know what the voltage was at, but that was insane. We were like almost at 5 minutes. Well, we were past 4 minutes, and it finally did the death roll. So that definitely helped. Okay, so let's take off with it. So we're in the air with the Fighter 130. Let's do a punch out. Got a little bit of buzzer there. Now keep in mind, this one says it's a 30C battery. So we should get less time and all in theory, because this one has 1106 motors. I could have gotten close to 5 minutes on the other setup because I didn't have 3-bladed props either. I had those 2-bladed props, and you guys know they're a little more efficient, so you get more flight time out of those. But here I got the 3-bladed props. I think I like the way it flies better with those on. We're getting some buzzer with it when I do hard punch outs. With the beta FPV batteries and the better batteries, the G and B, you don't get any buzzer when you do a punch out. Let's go for another one. Yeah, so we got some, this thing must be really 30C, or maybe it's the power of these motors, because I'm getting a lot more buzzer than I was getting with the leader. Only on punch outs and stuff though. When I kick the throttle up, I get it. So we're getting a lot of buzzer now from it. Getting buzzer. Still no death rolls. I shouldn't be flying it this fast, maybe, with it buzzing like that. There's the death roll right there.